You're welcome back to my class again today. Now, in this class, we want to look at raising an exception. All along, what we've been doing was raising an exception implicitly, right? That is, it was done within the program. But in this class, I want to show you how you can explicitly raise an exception by yourself. So you can raise exception, you can raise the built-in exception explicitly, or you can create your own exception and then raise it in your program. But in this class, I'm going to show you how to raise the built-in exception, like value error, right? We've done zero division error, we've done assertion error. Now, I want to look at another type, which is what? Value error. But we are still going to use our Vara math, right, to demonstrate this class. So, what we want to do in this class today is what? Raising exception, right? Raising exception in Python. It's a long topic. Raising exception in Python. So you can explicitly raise exception. So we want to raise the built-in exception. So what the one we want to raise today now is what? Value error, right? That is what I want to raise. Using our viral math function. So we say def, right? Viral math, and then A, B, C, and D. So this is our function that we are defining. We are defining a function. So we'll go in. Now, inside this function, I am going to write an if statement. So I will say if B, which is this B, right, equals to what? 0. Now, this is equal to, this is not assignment. One of it is assignment operator. But these two means equals to operator. If B equals to 0, go in and raise value error, right? But when you raise the value error, I want you to print out the message on the screen. So what is the message that I want you to print out on the screen? I will print out cannot divide by 0, right? So I want you to print out this message. So you are raising this error, which is what? Value error. This value error is a built-in error in Python, right? Now, in the next class, I'm going to teach you how to create your own exception, which is your own error, and how you raise it. So in this one now, I'm raising a built-in exception. That is what I'm raising in this class. So if B equals to 0, raise value error. Now, I will now come here. I will say result, and I will assign my calculation, which is what? A divided by B, multiply, then C plus D. If you have been following me by now, you should have this mathematics in your brain. All right, so this is it. Then I will now say return result, right? So I have created my function. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to what? Call this function. But in calling this function, in order for me to be able to catch the exception, because I want to be able to catch the exception and then and show it on the screen. So this is it. This is the topic, which is what? Raising exception in Python. So using the raise keyword, right? I am stating an if statement. If B equals to 0, raise value error, right? Then what should be printed out is what? Cannot divide by 0. That is what should be printed out. So what I will do now is that I'm going to pass this to my what? To my try except block. So I will come here and I will say try. This is my try block, right? And then inside this try block, I will call my print function. And inside this print function, I will call this ViraMath. ViraMath. Right? And then I will supply my parameters, which is what? 8, 2, 2, 2, right? To it. Now, then I will come here and I will say, except, this is my except block, except value error. As E. I will explain. Then I will, inside this one, I will now say print parenthesis error. Right? Then this comma, I'll put E inside here. All right, so this is my program. So now I've defined my function. And then I'm now going to call this function by supplying these parameters to it. Then, but I want to be able to catch the error and then display it on the screen. So I'm passing it into my try block, right? Try except block. So here I'm calling my function. I call the function. This 8 will be given to A, 2 will be given to B, 2 will be given to C, and this other 2 will be given to D. Then it will come in. It will check. If B equals to 0, raise value error. But in this case now, my B is equals to 2, so it is not equals to 0. So it will pass this if, and it will come to this next line. It will do this calculation, and it will store it in result. Then it will return this result to the calling function, right? Which will now be printed out on the screen. So this one will print out 16.0, right? That's what this one will print out. Now, if I now decide that I am going to change this one now to 0, I am changing this to 0. So when I change it to 0, 8 will be given to A, 0 will be given to B, 2 will be given to C, and this 2 will be given to D. Now it will come in. It will check. If B equals to 0, yes, B equals to 0. It will go in and it will raise value error. When it raises this value error, it will bypass this, and control will come from here. This is where I call it, right? So control will come to what? To this except block. So this except block will catch this value error that is raised. It will catch it. Then it's going to create an instance. I taught you that in the last class. So the object of this class is what? This E that is created. Once this object is created, it will now call the string function that is inside this class and use that method, right, to access this cannot divide by 0. So it will come in here and print, this is a string literal error. It will print this error out on the screen. Then it will print out whatever this object is going to return. So this object is going to access this cannot divide by 0. So it will print out error cannot divide by 0. That is what is going to print out on the screen. So this class was to teach you how to raise an implicit error, right? That is what I have done in this class. So let's go to the PyCharm and let me demonstrate this for you to see. And then in the next class, I will teach you how to create your own exception, and then how to raise that exception, and how to use cache that exception in your program. So let's go to the PyCharm and let me demonstrate this raising of implicit exception for you to see. All right, so this is our PyCharm. Now let's quickly create our module, new file. My raising exception.py. Okay, my raising exception.py. So I'm just going to define what we did, viral math. Okay. And then A, B, C, D. And I will say if B equals to 0, raise value error. So it's, as you can see, value error. Now I am going to supply the message to it. So I will say cannot divide by 0. So that is the message I want you to print out when the exception is raised. Now I'll say result A divided by B, that is where I put my expression, times, open parenthesis, then I have C plus D. Then I'll say return result. All right, so my method has been created. Now I'm going to handle it. So to do that, I'll say try inside the try block, and I will say print viral math, and I will supply 8 first. Let's do that. 2, 2, 2. Then accept value error as E. Then I'll say print a string literal error colon, then I'll say comma, say E. So this is it. Now I'm going to execute this. So I'm going to execute this. It will not throw me an error. It's going to give me a value. So you see, this one printed at 16.0. Now I'm going to change this 1 to 0. And I will re-execute it again. See, it's giving me error, cannot divide by 0. So it will print out this, which is a string literal. That's what you are seeing here, error. And then it will capture this message, cannot divide by 0. So that is what I want to show you in this class, how to raise an exception, right? So in the next class, I'm going to show you how to create your own exception, raise it, and then handle it. So till we see in the next class, bye-bye.